3D Tom and Jerry Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hot Pink Zebra Polish.
Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you a 3D Tom and Jerry is sitting on top of Tom's head looking down and like, haha, you can't get me here. I hope you guys like this video as much as I do. I love doing character designs so much, they're probably my favorite thing to be working on. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. Bye!
Bye.
I began with an overlay of a slightly like a canary yellow acrylic over the entire nail just to kind of add that base down. Starting out, I did this in two or three beads. Whenever I'm applying color acrylic, I always have this moment of, do I want to try to do this in one bead and get the whole thing done, or do I want to do it in multiples and do it step by step? And it depends on the day. Sometimes I like to do it one way, sometimes I like to do it the other way. But it's personal preference. And then I'm going to encase the nail with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure it is nice and strong. So just apply that over the whole nail. Starting out in kind of the apex area, and then blending that bead down. That'll add a little bit of thickness to the apex area, and then going from the cuticle and then working it down over the apex. So that creates a really nice starting sculpt for your nail and reduces the amount of filing that will be necessary. So then after you have all of that done, I'm going to be filing the nail into shape with my e-file, starting out with a coarse bit to remove any bulk, and then using a much finer bit and just going over the whole thing to smooth out the surface texture and refine it a little bit and make it easier to work on top of. So there's the finer bit, and I would definitely recommend using a straight barrel bit for that finished filing because that will give you much smoother lines. Then I'm going to begin Tom, and I'm going to start with gray acrylic and add just the very first shape of his head. On his cheeks, you're going to want to kind of fluff some of that acrylic out a little bit and add some more his cheeks have like the little tufty fur coming off the sides. So take the tip of your brush when you work on the one cheek and just sort of pull it out, as you can see. I'm going to be adding the first line of his ear with the gray acrylic, kind of pulling that out to the side. Whenever you're working on a character like this, it can be very overwhelming when you first look at the picture because you see everything that has to be done. And it's very hard until you are accustomed to it to break it down and just look at one step at a time. And a lot of times, I never did character faces. If you look at my videos, which I won't recommend it because they're not very good, but if you look at my videos from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, but just from a while ago, you would notice that my designs are like the clothing of characters and not actually the character's face. Or I did a lot of logos, so I would write Tom and Jerry instead of actually sculpting Tom and Jerry and that kind of a thing, because it is very overwhelming to do the entire character face because there's so many details that really make a character, and a lot of times if you miss even one, you don't have the full effect of the character, and it can be daunting, and it can just be something that if you don't have the proper base knowledge on how to break it down, that you can get to be just a little too much for you. So where I'm going with all of this is when you're looking at a new character and you're looking at something, try not to look at the whole end result. Just in your head, look at the design or look at the character, whatever you're trying to do, and pick out a single shape. Pick out the largest single shape you can. So on a cat face like this, it's probably going to be the cat's head. That's going to be where you start. And then add the next largest shape for me. That would be the ears. And keep going on and keep adding the next piece of the puzzle until it's all filled in. It's kind of like when you're doing a puzzle and you start on the edges and then you work your way in towards the middle. Same exact process. And if you guys want a more comprehensive video on exactly how to break down a design, I would be happy to help you. I can definitely try to work that into my schedule. So just shoot me a little comment or something down below. It's a whole concept I'm very passionate about because it's something that definitely plagued me in my art for a very long time. And I'm very happy to say I think I am overcoming it. Yay! But if you want to know more of what I do when I'm first looking at an image, I would be happy to do that. So going back to my adorable little Tom that I have here, you're going to want to add a little streak of white going up between the eyes, add his little kitty cheeks with white, and then add like a second cheek on the sides with gray, add some eyebrows with gray. And if you don't want to do quite as much 3D work as I did and you want to do a little bit more with the painting, you wouldn't have had to sculpt quite as much as I did. You could definitely go back and do it here and there with more of the paint instead. And then with a brown, you want to have more of like an orangey brown. You don't want it to be like a chocolate, like a caramel brown is where you want to get that color. You're going to want to sculpt Jerry sitting on top of Tom's head. So I decided to do a Tom and Jerry design, and I was, just scrolling through images trying to decide which one really sparked my interest, and most of them showed Tom and Jerry with this classic cat and mouse going on. Tom trying to attack Jerry, and I didn't want that. I want them to look a little bit more happy together. So that's why I decided to go with this route. But if you were doing a full set and you were doing a whole Tom and Jerry theme across all the nails, I would definitely have one hand of them all cute and cuddly and one hand with Tom looking all mean like he wants to eat Jerry's nail like a piece of spaghetti. So that would be my thought if you were going to do that. After you have all of the sculpting done, I'm going to go through with some black paint and add all my little finer details and little outlines here and there. And when I do this, I like to dilute my paint to make it a little thinner and easier to work with. So just go through and add all of that little detail that you want to. Outline all of the 3D work you did so that it really shows up and stands out. Do some outlining around the outside, little touches here and there. Just keep going around. And same thing with outlining. That can also be kind of a daunting task when you first look at something, a design like this, and think, oh, there's so much to do. But just break it down and do one piece of the puzzle at a time. Work on Tom for a while. I kind of like to skip around when I'm doing stuff. So I'll work on Tom for a little bit, and then I'll go and I'll work on Jerry for a little bit, and I'll go back and forth. Why? For no particular reason. Just my idiosyncrasies. Jerry is so small that it is pretty difficult to add in all of his facial features, like his little smile and everything. So do just what you feel like you can, what you think will fit. Especially if you're doing this on a smaller nail, it would definitely be hard to get in all of the little details on Jerry's face. And first I did his eyes just with a black base, and then I filled them in with white for the color in them, or for the whites of the eyes. Add some little details on Tom again, going back and forth. Add his whiskers and his smile and his little chin. Add some little white details on Jerry, fill in his eyes. All of that. Go back to Tom and keep going back and forth. And depending on how much you did with the acrylic, you may have had to add Jerry's eyes, like how I did Jerry's eyes with white, you may have to do Tom's eyes with that yellow base. But if you did do a yellow acrylic to start out his eyes, then you can go straight to green for the irises. Thicken up his eyebrows a little bit with more of the black paint. Add a little bit more to his nose. There's the whiskers. I knew I did whiskers, and I said that before, and then I didn't do them. I was like, well, that's weird. I knew I added in the whiskers, so I added his whiskers now. Just going across. Finish off with his pupils. And then after you have all of your acrylic painting done, you can add a layer of gel sealer over the background. So I did fill in like the tips of Tom's whiskers and Jerry's tail with the gel sealer. So those are shiny, but everything else on these characters, you're going to want to apply a layer of matte top coat over them. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Again, if you would like a comprehensive video on exactly how to break down a character, I would be more than happy to do that. So I will let you know, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!